I'm Sham and I'm back with a brand new track. Going to be discussing train hopping, more specifically the waiting game. Those of you who know, but to be more specific, there is many factors involved in terms of catching a train, and you're going to spend just as much time, if not more, waiting around than you are riding. That is the harsh reality, especially if you're trying to do as many new routes as you can. You're doing more obscure routes, you're more so riding general manifest and such. Having said that, before I continue, really want to thank you guys who have been supporting, my friends, everybody. We go through rough times. I'm sort of going through a little bit of a downturn. I think it has to do with rain, downcast. Here in Seattle, I am from the Pacific Northwest, Corvallis, Oregon. It's just hard to get used to, especially when you're alone. I don't have a home base. Been doing this for several years straight, living out of my pack. It's a totally different hobo journey, and that's what I'm trying to highlight. I'm trying to highlight the raw perspective of it all. This is unlike most stuff that you have seen, that you haven't seen. It's definitely very different, so stay tuned. Alrighty. So when you're trying to catch a train, many times you're already trespassing on railroad property, so you have to be aware, all of that stuff. There is a certain stress, but after having it done so many times, for me, it's the norm. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, when a train comes, there's so many determining factors in what qualifies you being able to get on. Are there rides? Okay. Is it stopped? If it's not stopped and it's going, is it slow enough to catch on the fly, which I never recommend. Again, I'm just showing the reality. If none of that happens, is the locomotive, a DPU, unlocked? And if it's not, do you have the means to get in? Let's just leave it at that. Boom, you're on, you're riding, awesome. That is the best case scenario. You show up, you don't have to wait that long, everything works out, and you're off. Congratulations. Now, what happens if you're waiting around and things don't come for a long time, right? Maybe it's scheduled for only so many times a week. Maybe you just happen to be away when it came by. And this is a phenomenon all you experienced riders know. The second you leave, no matter how long you've been waiting, you come back and the train you want is just passing you by. Oh my God. I swear I could write a document on my experiences regarding that. It sucks, but it is what it is. Now, also, if everything is perfect and you're about to get on, then you realize, hey, looking down the tracks, there's an inbound train coming. I can be seen. There's a worker coming. I can be seen. The general public, in general, they don't mind, but again, all it takes is one reporting and that ride is screwed. So again, you just have to weigh your options. So how visible you are does determine your ability to get on. How much resources you have also is another big factor. You technically want to get on with obviously as much power, water, food, and such. But what happens when all your batteries are running low, your phone is running low, and you've got to charge, and then a train comes and you're like, well, I have to skip this because it is more important for me to go in adequately prepared. Same with water. You're, sipping your water and then it goes low and you're about to go refill and then it comes. So for me, I keep a gallon filled in my pack automatically, and then I've got a gallon that is more specifically made just for my catch out. And that helps. Battery banks are such an underrated, I know it seems weird to say this, but you definitely need to load up on the battery banks, and that will help you and goes a long way for sure. Weather is another determining factor. I am prepared for all weather, okay? It also determines your mood. Do you feel like potentially getting wet, going through a thunderstorm, being cold, stuff like that? Looking at the weather and looking at it ahead and looking at it the places that you're going to go is also important. Again, these are personal factors. It just depends what you're willing to put up with. Or being hot. I've gone through the Southwest during the summer, not recommended, almost close to heat stroke a couple times. What is your shade situation? All of that stuff. So please plan ahead in terms of the conditions. What yards you're dealing with, the ones that are more secure, that are quote unquote hotter, it's going to be a tougher time in general. Makes sense. Things may have changed, stuff that you're not aware of. In general, freight hop is going to stay the same, very consistent. The vast majority is going to maintain through a good amount of time. But hey, maybe something happened a couple months before you train hopped and the route you wanted is rerouted. So a city that you may have been able to catch out from before is no longer available. That's something to consider. Also, directional running, meaning it's almost like a one-way street. Certain companies, certain routes are only going to go in one direction. Now, if you don't realize that and you're trying to catch in the opposite direction, it's just not going to happen. But over a few days when you don't see traffic going, if you only see traffic going one way, then it kind of is a good clue. It's always good to do your research, reach out to other fellow train hoppers, consult, and just consider the overall schematics. Or maybe instead of catching out from that location you're struggling with, if you want to do that same route, maybe catching out from the destination and doing it quote unquote in reverse. Just depends, again, on many factors and how bad you want to do it. Something else to consider. Finally, in conclusion, hopefully you consider all of that and just the overarching nature of train hopping, the patience required, all the factors required, and just to be aware that, hey, if somebody is taking a certain amount of time, somebody is going through certain struggles, there always is an explanation to it. And for example, I've had easy catch outs in places others have struggled, and vice versa. And this was just kind of on my mind as I'm considering the next steps and where I want to go. And it's a very pertinent topic to the overall community. Hope all is well. Stay safe. Talk to you later. I'm Shaman. I'm out. Peace.